History of the Bee Gees, a legendary music group known for their iconic harmonies and significant contributions to pop, rock, and disco. Early beginnings. The Bee Gees were formed in 1958 by brothers Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb. Born on the Isle of Man, the brothers moved to Manchester, England, during their early years and later relocated to Redcliffe, Queensland, Australia, in 1958. Their musical journey began when the brothers started singing together as children. They gained local attention in Australia by performing in talent shows and small venues, eventually securing regular television appearances. Initially, the group adopted a rock and roll style influenced by acts like the Everly Brothers. By 1963, they had signed their first record deal with Festival Records and released their debut single, The Battle of the Blue and the Grey. While their early Australian releases had modest success, the group didn't achieve widespread recognition until they moved back to England in 1967. Breakthrough in England. After returning to England, the Bee Gees were introduced to Robert Stigwood, who became their manager. Stigwood secured them a contract with Polydor Records in the UK and Atco Records in the US. The group's international breakthrough came with their 1967 album Bee Gees First, which included hits like To Love Somebody, Massachusetts, and New York Mining Disaster 1941. Their distinctive harmonies, coupled with their knack for emotionally resonant songwriting, quickly garnered them critical and commercial success. During this period, the Bee Gees were often compared to the Beatles due to their melodic pop sensibilities. They continued to build on this momentum with subsequent albums like Horizontal, 1968, and Idea, 1968, producing hits such as Words and I've Gotta Get a Message to You. Musical evolution. In the early 1970s. The Bee Gees experienced a slight decline in popularity during the early 1970s. Their music shifted toward more ambitious and experimental sounds, as heard in albums like Odessa, 1969, which featured the hit, 1st of May. Despite their creative efforts, this period saw tensions within the group. In 1969, Robin briefly left the band to pursue a solo career, but the brothers reconciled by 1970. Their 1971 album Trafalgar marked a return to form, producing the hit, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, their first #1 single in the United States. However, it wasn't until the mid-1970s that the Bee Gees would redefine their career trajectory. Reinvention and the disco era. In 1975, the Bee Gees made a significant shift in their sound, adopting a funk-influenced R&B style. Working with producer Arif Mardin, they released the album Main Course, which included hits like Jive Talkin' and Nights on Broadway. This marked the beginning of their association with the disco genre. The Bee Gees' meteoric rise during the disco era was cemented with their contributions to the Saturday Night Fever 1977 soundtrack. Featuring songs like Stayin'Alive, Night Fever, and How Deep Is Your Love, the soundtrack became one of the best-selling albums of all time. The Bee Gees' role in the success of Saturday Night Fever made them cultural icons of the late 1970s and positioned them as leaders of the disco movement. Between 1977 and 1979, the Bee Gees dominated the charts, achieving 6 consecutive #1 singles in the US. Their signature falsetto harmonies and infectious grooves defined the era, though they also faced backlash as disco began to decline in popularity by the early 1980s. Challenges in later career. The post-disco years brought challenges for the Bee Gees. The public backlash against disco, epitomized by events like the Disco Demolition Night in 1979, led to a decline in their commercial appeal. However, the group remained active, shifting their focus to songwriting and production for other artists. They penned hits for Dionne Warwick, Heartbreaker, Barbra Streisand, Woman in Love, and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream. The Bee Gees returned to the charts in the late 1980s and early 1990s with albums like Especially, 1987, and One, 1989. The latter included the hit single, You Win Again, which topped the charts in the UK. They also performed live extensively during this period, showcasing their enduring appeal to fans worldwide. Legacy and final years. The 1990s and early 2000s saw the Bee Gees celebrated as one of the most successful and influential groups in music history. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997, with their citation describing them as Britain's first family of harmony. Tragedy struck in 2003 when Maurice Gibb passed away due to complications from a twisted intestine. Following Maurice's death, Barry and Robin ceased performing as the Bee Gees, though they occasionally reunited for special projects. Robin Gibb passed away in 2012 after a battle with cancer, leaving Barry as the sole surviving member. Barry has since continued to perform and release solo material, honoring the legacy of the Bee Gees while keeping their music alive for new generations. Achievements and impact. The Bee Gees' career spanned over 5 decades, during which they sold over 220 million records worldwide, making them one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Their ability to reinvent themselves across genres, from pop and rock to disco and R&B, set them apart as versatile and innovative artists. Their contributions to the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack not only defined a generation but also changed the landscape of popular music. Their influence can be heard in the work of artists across various genres, and their timeless hits continue to resonate with audiences worldwide. The Bee Gees' story is one of resilience, creativity, and unparalleled success. Despite personal and professional challenges, their music remains a testament to their extraordinary talent and enduring legacy.